The beginning is always the same: a gray sky and muddy drizzle. In a garden where nothing grows, she has returned to the first page of that year. The endless cycle of being 17 years old, when she regressed for the first time. She had hope for escape. After the first 20 times she wondered how she would die. The next 30 she tried to get used to it. In the next 5 she laid in her bed too exhausted to do anything else. After a series of resets she can't remember her own name. A maid wakes her up calling her Karen. The maid states today is her birthday. Today isn't her birthday, she's in a romance novel. Where she's been trapped for 117 years, it's a typical romance novel. About a girl named Karen, the daughter of a lord ruling over a small bit of territory, who dreams of meeting her true love. As a result she broke off her engagement to her vile fiancé. She becomes a maid for a wealthy businessman's daughter, only to suffer mistreatment and humiliation. After that she found her true love and lived happily ever after. Once the final chapter of the story ended, she died of poisoning. When she opened her eyes, she was writhing in pain. She was well and alive a year before her death. She overcame her fears and fell in love with Raymond again. But the result was the same. It didn't matter who she ended up with or even if she remained single. Death would follow, and it would come in various ways: getting stabbed, drowning, burning. She always came back to the muddy garden from the beginning with a coin in her mouth. It's now the 100th time. Her maid Nancy asked what she has in her hand. Karen calls it a lucky coin. Nancy believes she knows how to read fortunes. She asked if she wants to make a bet. If she flips the coin and it's head, she wants her to be a nice person, but if it's tails, she flips the coin, ignoring the rest of her words. It's tail. So she's going to be bad. She stared into a basin of water, then submerged her head, attempting to end her life. The maid is startled, but it's impossible to end her life. Before the year end, the maid inquires if she's acting out. Because of Father Doolin, who she has known since she was young, Karen responds she can have him and she will take her husband. The maid nervously laughed. When she tried to seduce Nancy's man, she murdered her. Karen hopes she won't kill her this time. The maid advises her to dress up for someone else, if not Doolin. She adorns herself in a beautiful white and purple dress, with a necklace and roses in her hair. In the ballroom she meets her finance, who she has always and never will like. Karen makes an annoyed and disgusted expression when meeting Doolin. There's little reason for the female lead to like a side character like him. He attended her coming-of-age ceremony drenched in rainwater. She wonders if the answer lies in finding love with Doolin. He states a good wife should be submissive in everything and always obey her husband. There was a time when she thought this, however it wasn't the answer. The same fiancé, the same people, the same song and the same coming-of-age ceremony. It's like she's in hell. However, she has no choice but to accept her fate whether she likes it or not. The 69th dance with Doolin. The 45th time a couple stepped on each other's feet. The 78th glass spilled by the servant. Doolin tells her to smile. Everyone in there is laughing at her. Because of Doolin, this is the 100th time Karen Hire is pitied. Doolin is close to an emotional breakdown. He can't stand being treated like an idiot. Suddenly Karen has an idea. She grabs Doolin and drags him away. There's something she hasn't tried yet. She tells Doolin they're having an early wedding. He's confused. She wants to try everything she has yet to do. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's new. She's on top of him. Doolin is extremely nervous, but Karen is excited to try something new. They fix their clothes in silence, turning their backs to one another. Doolin breaks the silence, exclaiming she pulled him into it. She entangle their arms. They have to dance at least 3 songs. The nobles gossip that if it wasn't for the inheritance law, she wouldn't be marrying Dulin. They look at one another, ignoring the gossip. Dulin extends his hand. Karen is surprised. He's not complaining. The nobles whisper that his dancing is mediocre. Unexpectedly, Dulin is putting up with the gossip. A waiter bumps into him, causing him to fall on his butt. Karen smiles, happy that what's supposed to happen, happened. She extends her hand to the pitiful Dulin. As the story goes, Dulin is supposed to throw wine on the waiter and Karen will be shocked at his violence. He looks at her, then her hand, contemplating whether to take it or not. He stands, then orders the waiter to get lost. Dulin asked if they're going to keep dancing. She replied of course. She complains that he doesn't have the decency to act ashamed. This is the first time he resumed the dance. The Dulin she's known for 99 years has changed. Her eyes glow with joy, wondering if other things will change. The immortal girl Karen with red eyes and violent eyes. She's learned a few rules after living as Karen for over 100 years. First, each cycle lasts a year and starts in the rainy garden. Second, she always die after the year end and return to the beginning. Third, she starts with a coin in her mouth with a number engraved on it. She thought she could go back if she broke that rule. So she fattened herself up on purpose. She tried performing good deeds and bring positive changes to the land. She even attempted to end her life, but nothing changed. Although she vowed to take revenge on those who left her rotting with bedsores. But she can't punish them for something that didn't happen. In the 48th life, Dulin refused to treat her, because the engagement was called off. She was sick for over a year, all the blood in her body rotted and she died. Death by a wild boar's canine. In the 53rd life, Isala was the rival of Karen. She had accused Karen of seducing Raymond, although she didn't do the deed with her own hands. She brought more pain than death. She ordered the maids to throw tar over her, so she could never show her face to Raymond, death from severe burns. In the next life, Isala's father Verdict Evans barged into her room the day she married Raymond. Like a nightmare, they waited for her happiest moment. He grabs her head, then raises rusty axe and declared she must pay for taking what belongs to his daughter. He mangled her with the axe. She went through that several times. It's not just them, countless people have ended her life. However, just because they didn't do anything in this life doesn't mean their wrongdoings in the previous life vanished. Although they don't remember taking her life, doesn't mean she doesn't remember dying by their hands. The number of her returns exceed the number of people that need to pay. Why didn't she think of revenge? After all, she did say would be bad. There's one reason why she couldn't think of this. It's because she thought changing people on the world could be done through love. But love isn't the answer. The thing that changes people is death. On the day of her 117th birthday, she decided to be a murderer. On the road to higher heights, a horse is lying down, its ankle is broken. It cannot stand. Loan shark Verdict Evans finds this annoying. He knocks on the carriage. Isala asked what is it. He informs her they must walk from there. She's terrified. She regrets coming to the countryside, but there's no other place where the land is efficiently used. The quality of orchids and logging area is good, while the maintenance cost is low due to the small amount of residents. Verdict plans to make Isala govern the land when he claims it. He states it would be a good practice for marriage. She wonders if Raymond will acknowledge her if she's good at ruling over the land. She beams, declaring when she becomes the ruler she'll fix the road first. The negotiations went smoothly, as her father and another man have a discussion. She noticed the church is shabby for something owned by a noble. She internally thinks to renovate the whole place. She hears the whispers of commoners praising someone's beauty. She's curious on why they're so excited. Strangely, a large amount of people are gushing over someone. There in the pews of the rundown church sat a woman who shone under the sun. She resembled the beauty of an heavenly angel. She then realized she's Hire's daughter. She's in tattered clothes and not wearing a single jewelry. But she feels so annoyed at the sight of her. However, it doesn't matter as Isala only sees her as a stepping stone. Doolin is finishing his sermon. Karen mutters there is no God to listen to her prayer. Doolin places his hand on her shoulder. He warns her not to be so blasphemous. She smacks off his hand, thinking it's worse to preach on the podium with what he's done. Isala cuts in and introduced herself to Karen. She inquires who Doolin is. He tried to introduce himself, but Karen did it for him. Isala exclaims she heard she was getting married, but she thought it would be someone else. She feels superior, thinking Karen is destined to suffer in the countryside with the priest. She states they make a good couple, and even though they don't get along now, they'll live happily. Doolin is upset and Karen brushes it off. Isala is stunned by her reaction, but she has provoked Karen like this many times. Karen eyes her extravagant outfit. She thinks to wear that to church. She never learns. She wonder if she'll ring like a bell if a rope is around her. Will her scream be as beautiful as a bell? Isala wakes her from her thought, stating it seems she can't take her eyes off her neck. She smiles brightly, announcing her fiancé gave it to her as a gift. She exclaims it's very beautiful. While having dangerous thoughts, in the next scene she pulls in cloth, stating if necklace were made of pano wires she would have used it instead. The person falls to the ground lifeless. Karen states she will decorate her body with the necklace. The servant states it's been years since she's danced like that. Those who saw Karen that day said she walked elegantly like a goddess of spring. With hands so delicate could never crush a single petal. That day Karen laughed, filled with joy. Finally she had committed her first murder. The next day Isala is searching frantically for an item. A maid enters her room. Isala asked who brought her there. She explains she fell asleep during the meeting, so Karen ordered her to. Isala cuts her off, asking about her necklace. Nancy suggests she search the wardrobe. The necklace means a lot to Isala, but she can't find it. Nancy states she should leave it if it can't be found. This angered Isala. Nancy advises her to fresh up. Isala loses her temper. She slaps Nancy in her face. Nancy drops to the ground. Isala accuses her of stealing the necklace. She orders Nancy to find it immediately. Nancy smiles nonchalantly with a bruised face. Isala's anger is boiling over, before it can escalate. Karen enters asking what's happening. She shouts her necklace is gone. Karen tilts her head confused. Isala exclaims it disappeared in the morning and her maid is suspicious. Nancy exclaims with a blinding light she's innocent. Surprising Isala, Karen ordered the maids to find it and tells Isala to get dressed. Isala yells, but becomes silent when seeing the deadly eyes of the servants. Karen warns her that Nancy has been there for a long time and should keep her hands to herself. The maid complains about Isala's behavior. They searched the area for the entire day and couldn't find it. Meanwhile, Isala tells her father to search Hire's room. Verdict tells her not to be ridiculous. He asked if she's willing to ruin the deal over a necklace. She exclaims what should she do? The necklace was a gift from Raymond. Verdict becomes frustrated. She's getting work up over a necklace which isn't even a ring. Raymond, the second son of a fallen baron, became a war hero. It wouldn't be strange for him to find a better family to marry. But he's indebted to them and will never run away, especially not with that personality. Verdict offers to buy her another necklace, however she refused. She only wants the one Raymond bought her. Raymond stands stating it's because of her mistake. She worries Raymond will be disappointed with her. She wants to leave that place as soon as possible. Isala opens the door. An unfamiliar scent struck her nose. She doesn't think much of it. She noticed her necklace stepping into the blood surrounding the room. She is mortified at what she's seeing. She slowly backs away. She runs away with her blood-stained dress. She falls on the ground crying, thinking to herself, I never told her to die. If she gets caught she'll be accused of murder. She fought with Nancy and her body is in her room. She hears the voice of Karen, who smiles at her menacingly, asking what she's doing in the middle of the night.